Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Boxing Beltway Podcast Network, and this week we had no music. Somehow my music disappeared. I don't know where it went to. The theme song for Boxing on the Beltway, and also the theme song Boxing Spotlight, done by my brother-in-law Charles James. It disappeared from my site, so I have to get it back. So we're going to go without it this week, and we'll see what happens in future weeks. The Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, of course, can be heard on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on Podcast Addict. We're on Castbox, Google Podcasts, TuneIn. We're on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Gary Williams, on the Twitter, at my Twitter handle, which is Digital25, and we're on Facebook on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network page as well. A couple things we're going to get into this week. First of all, we're going to talk about the May Beltway Boxing Schedule, which is going to be interesting this month, and it starts actually record this tomorrow. So we're going to try to do that. We're also going to talk about a man who's a very good friend of mine, and he decided to pay something forward, and it actually kind of affected me too. And I may have talked about it earlier, but it's definite now. So I do want to talk about it again, and hopefully other people like him, including myself, will be able to pay it forward for other people down the road. We'll talk more about that as well. And I want to give a plug to another podcast. Of course, I don't mind doing that, especially when the podcast is good. And it does help when I happen to be a guest on this particular podcast recently. So definitely want to talk about that and give you a heads up on that one. And definitely listen to this podcast as well. The Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you as always by Real-Time Pain Relief, from boxers to ballerinas. For shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything between. Boxing Law on the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. Go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time world heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout plan for real-time pain relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods. All at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, the May boxing schedule gets underway as we record this Saturday, May 8th. And it gets away with a couple of events going on that day. And should be interesting as well. And one of them is going to be the first one's going to be at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. And that's where the Davis brothers, Kelvin and Keyshawn, will be on a card, actually going to be on the card of the month probably. And that's the Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders bout. That card will be on the zone. And both Keyshawn and Kelvin Davis will be on this card. Now, lightweight Keyshawn Davis, they're both out of Alexandria by way of Norfolk, Virginia. And Keyshawn Davis, he'll be in a 6-round encounter against Jose Antonio Pepao Mesa of Gomez Palacio, Durango, Mexico. Davis is 2-0, 2 KOs. He traveled all the way to Dubai to win a 4th-round stoppage bout against Richmond Ashley. That was on April the 3rd. So he's been doing well. Of course, Keyshawn Davis was the one who was on the United States Olympic team for 2020. But for some reason got taken off the team. Don't actually know why. So he went ahead and turned pro. He's now 2-0 with 2 wins by knockout. Now, Mesa is 6-4 with 1 KO. He has not fought since June of 2019 when he lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Dimitri Yoon in Temecula, California. So that's Keyshawn Davis. Now, his older brother will be on the card as well. That's Kelvin Davis. He's a super lightweight. And he'll be in a 4-round bout against Jan Marsalek of the Czech Republic. Davis is 1-0, 1 KO. He made his pro debut in December of 2020. Scored a 2nd-round TKO over Michael Onesto in Los Angeles, California. Marsalek is 8-2 with 7 KOs. So Davis is taking a pretty big jump here. And not only that, Marsalek won the vacant World Boxing Federation International Super Lightweight title with a 9th-round TKO over previously undefeated Faith Dubois. That was on October 7th in Donauwörth, Germany. So Kelvin Davis is really taking a pretty good step back. Both of these guys are facing experienced boxers, both Keyshawn and Kelvin Davis. So we'll see if they have the talent. I think they do have the talent to get some wins in this card coming up. That'll be on Saturday, May 8th at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. The card, I believe, will be streamed. The entire card, I believe, will be streamed by DAZN, and that'll be coming up there on Saturday, May the 8th. Also on Saturday, May the 8th, at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Annapolis, Maryland super lightweight David the Demolisher Veras Pena. He'll be in a 4-round contest against Tamir Smalls of Philadelphia. Now, Pena has been trying to fight for a while. He's still 0-4-1, looking for his first victory. He looks to bounce back from back-to-back first-round TKO losses in his last 2 outings. Smalls is 3-0 with 2 KOs, and he looks to build on a 4-round unanimous decision win over Andres Abarca. That was on April 3rd at the 2300 Arena. So, look forward to seeing, hopefully, the Demolisher Veras Pena, Davis Veras Pena, will bring a win back on May the 8th. So that's Saturday, May 8th, both in Philadelphia and in Dallas, Texas. On Saturday, May 15th, at the Sokol Club in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, debuting DC super featherweight Donnell Poe. He'll compete in a 4-round bout against undefeated Johnny Spell of Pittsburgh. Now, Poe was an avid participant in the numerous Washington as well as regional Golden Gloves. He won a couple of novice championships. I remember that. I think he came up a little short in the regionals, but in the open division. But he did win a number of Washington regional novice Golden Glove championships. And he also served his country in the U.S. Armed Forces. I believe he was in either the Army or the Marines. I don't know which one, but he was definitely a man who served his country. So we thank him for his service. And we'll see what happens in his pro debut. Now, Spell is 3-0. All 3 of his bouts have been by knockout, and he scored first-round knockouts in all 3 of those bouts. Now, he didn't fight anybody of any. He fought a lot of guys fighting their pro debut or 1-0. So we'll see what happens here as Spell faces Donnell Poe of D.C. by way of Fort Washington, Maryland, and he'll make his pro debut on the card on Saturday, May 15th at the Sokol Club in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On Friday, May 21st, in Rock Hill, South Carolina, District Heights, Maryland super featherweight Ronaldo Misunderstood Gaines returns. He participates in an 8-round contest against Steve the Answer Massey of Charlotte, North Carolina. Gaines is 10-2, 3 KOs. He's not fought since winning a 4-round unanimous decision over Eduardo Melendez. That was in May of 2019 at Washington, D.C. I believe it was at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in D.C. Gaines, by the way, is riding a 6-bout winning streak, so he's doing well. And he's had some troubles physically and otherwise, but he seems to be in good shape right now, and we'll see what happens once again. He's 10-2 with 3 KOs. Massey is 12-1, 9 KOs. He last fought October 24th and scored a first-round knockout over Manuel Galaviz in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, Massey, although he's 12-1, has not fought the best of competition. He's not fought anybody near the caliber of Ronaldo Gaines, although he does have a win against a guy who's 5-0. But Massey has not fought that competition, so we'll see what Gaines can do in that bout. That'll be on Friday, May 21st in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Don't know where the venue is for that particular thing. On Saturday, May 22nd, a number of Beltway boxers will be on a card at the Greenville Marriott in Greenville, South Carolina. That includes DC Super Bantamweight Darren Sweet Tay Williams. He'll return to action in a 6-round encounter against Diamond J. Beyer of Phoenix, Arizona by way of the Philippines. Williams is 8-1, 5 KOs. He's not fought since scoring a 2nd-round TKO over Raymond Chacon in September 2019 in Sterling, Virginia. Now, Baker, who, by the way, is 44 years old, he last fought in February of 2020, lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Danny Barrios Flores in Phoenix, Arizona. So we'll see what happens with this bout coming up. Beyer is I think 8-5 with 4 KOs. I believe that was his record. I'll double check that for you. But Darren Sweet Tay Williams will be on this card in Greenville, South Carolina, the Greenville Marriott on Saturday, May 22nd. Also in this card, Dundalk, Maryland lightweight, the educated boxer Dorian Bostic. He'll be in a 6-round contest against Devontae Stevenson of South Carolina. Bostic is undefeated, 7-0, all 7 of his wins by knockout, and his last outing was just on May the 1st. And he traveled all the way to San Antonio de Palmito, Colombia. and he knocked out Wagner Ortega in the second round. Stevenson is 0-3. He's been knocked out in all 3 of his bouts so far. So that's Dorian Bostic, Dundalk, Maryland, the lightweight. He'll be in a 6-round contest against Devontae Stevenson of South Carolina. Meanwhile, super middleweights, the Bell twins also return to action on this card. Justin and Jason Bell we're talking about, the nephews of the late Reuben Ratman Bell. They're originally from Capitol Heights, Maryland, but they now fight out of Greenville, North Carolina. And they haven't fought since October 2018 at Rose Croft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. Justin Bell is 4-0, 3 KOs. He scored a second-round TKO on that card over DeAndre West. Jason Bell's 3-1, 1 KO. That one loss came in his last outing, and he lost a 6-round majority decision to Yank Plana. That was an interesting bout, too, by the way. Very good bout. Justin Bell will battle Tebron Farmer of Wilson, North Carolina, who is 0-10. And he hasn't been knocked out in every bout, but he's been knocked out in most of them. So that's who Justin Bell will face, Tebron Farmer of Wilson, North Carolina. Jason Bell still looking for an opponent on this card. And also looking for an opponent on this card is Fort Washington, Maryland middleweight Ian Dancer Coakley. Coakley's 2-0, and he won his last bout against Leo Alcantara, another Beltway boxer out of Fort Washington, Maryland, as a matter of fact. He won it by 4-round majority decision in February of 2020 in Vienna, Virginia. So that is the card. That is the schedule, should say, for May. That's the May schedule coming up. And anything else happens to it, we will talk about that in a little bit. So that should be an interesting situation there. So that'll be the card coming up in May. The card's coming up in May. Of course, nothing going on in the Beltway. Hopefully something. I've heard something coming up in D.C., but we'll see what happens there. Now, good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, a guy who I've known for years now, who is actually one of the best cut men that has ever been in this area. We have some great ones still, but this guy was an outstanding cut man, worked primarily with the Hall of Famer Mark Two Sharp Johnson throughout his career. His name is Chris Ray, and Chris Ray is a District of Columbia Boxing Hall of Famer as well. He should be, of course. Now, what he has done recently, I think I talked about this a while back, but I didn't. We weren't sure how far it was going to go. But if I haven't talked about it, this is news to everybody. What Chris Ray has done has been a great gesture, and I'm hoping other Hall of Famers like myself will be able to do this. Chris Ray has decided to, in the parlance, pay it forward. And he has actually paid for a number of other DC Boxing Hall of Famers, including myself, by the way. He's paid the lifetime membership fee for the Washington, D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. So right now, and I guess forevermore, I'm a lifetime member of the District of Columbia Boxing Hall of Fame. For those who don't know, I was inducted into the D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame in 2009. And I just haven't paid my dues like I should. I had paid them once or twice, but I haven't paid them on a regular basis like I should have. There's no question about that. I freely admit that. But now I don't have to, because Chris Ray paid my lifetime fee for the D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame. So I am now a lifetime member of the District of Columbia Boxing Hall of Fame. Now, they wouldn't have taken my membership away because I am a Hall of Famer, but I'm a lifetime member in good standing, I guess it is. I guess I can say. So I appreciate Chris Ray for doing that. Now, he also did it for another person. And unfortunately, that person is no longer with us, but the family will never have to worry about it. And he will be a lifetime member. And his name is the late Bernard Boogaloo Roach, master trainer who trained Andrew Council, Trey Lamont Roach Jr., and many others. Bernard Roach Jr. is now a lifetime member of the Washington, D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame, and thanks to Chris Ray. And talking to Chris about it, I know he wants other Hall of Famers to follow suit, because we have more coming. We have more that are now a part of the Hall of Fame. I mean, we've this past Hall of Fame class included Simon Brown, and I believe it included Mark Two Sharp Johnson, as a matter of fact, and so many others. So William Joppy, I think, was also inducted this past year. Daryl Coley's been recently inducted. Reggie Showtime Green has recently, just a few of the guys who have recently been inducted into the Washington, D.C. Boxing Hall of Fame, and well deserved. So hopefully I can try to do that, do the same thing Chris did, and pay it forward for some of these guys, because they definitely deserve it, no question about that. So thank you, Chris. I really do appreciate it, and I continue great success to you as well. Now, before we go, I'm going to tell you about a relatively new podcast that has come in the out of the Washington, D.C. area. We have a few boxing podcasts. We have Your Corner Man with Bruce Babashian, very good podcast there. You have another one that is based in this area but rarely talks about the Beltway scene. But I do like the podcast, even though they curse a little bit too much for my standing. But that's just me. The podcast is The Boxing Ring, and they're out of Virginia. But there's a new one on the scene. I want to talk about this because it's a very good podcast, and it kind of brings back some of the history of some of the great ones here, great promotions here in the Beltway area. The podcast is called the H-Bomb Boxing Podcast. It is done by a guy by the name of Marty Hardiman. Now, Marty Hardiman, Marty H, as he's better known, he was involved with, in a peripheral way, with Scott Wagner, the late Scott Wagner, and his partner for his Ballroom Boxing Report on Baltimore radio, Scotty Krause, very good friend of mine as well. And Marty Hardiman used to do some work with the Ballroom Boxing Report. And part of his website for the H-Bomb Boxing Podcast, which is a website, is hbombboxing.com, gives history and pays tribute to the late Scott Wagner, a guy who was a wonderful person. I've talked about him a lot on this podcast many times, but he does a great job with that. Now he actually just had myself as a guest, and so if you listen to the H-Bomb podcast this coming next couple of weeks, you'll hear the interview that he did with me on the show. It was just a great situation. I enjoyed it immensely, and he's on a lot of the same podcast streaming services that I'm on. So I know he's on. I think he's on Spotify. In fact, I know he's on Spotify. That's why I have him on there. I think he's on Stitcher and a few others. I don't think he's on Spreaker. I think he's on. His host server is another podcast server. But he is a part of the podcast team. So again, I have no cut cards and no problems updating and telling you about other podcasts, especially from this area, who do a good job and talk about the great boxing scene. And that's what Marty does. And I was privileged to be a part of his podcast this past week, and hope you listen to that as well and enjoy it. That's the H-Bomb Boxing Podcast with Marty Hardiman, and look forward to great things from him as well. Well, that will do it for another edition, very short edition of the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Of course, still nothing going on in the Beltway, so hope to get some going real soon. And that will do it. So thank you very much for joining us once again. And Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you as always by Real Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time World Heavyweight Champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for real-time pain relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods. All at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. My name is Gary Digital Williams. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.